If there were accolades for uncovering infidelity within marriages, I might find myself among the top contenders, employing some strategic maneuvers to unveil my wife's deceit. Initially, everything seemed harmonious between us as we geared up for a trip together. However, as fate would have it, a revelation struck at the most inconvenient juncture. My private investigators' intel revealed Larry's predictable routines, prompting me to infiltrate the Thursday evening happy hour scene at a trendy downtown bar in Greensboro, where Larry was known to frequent. Arriving promptly at 6:10, I anticipated his imminent arrival. As I grappled with the impending confrontation and the impending upheaval in my life, I found solace in a glass of bourbon, swiftly coming to terms with my altered reality. Amidst the bustling atmosphere of the lounge, I fixated on the bar's surface until I spotted Larry's reflection in the long mirror. He had already joined his friends, a tall bear sitting in front of him. Larry, a tall and alluring figure, appeared considerably younger than my 51 years, boasting a fit and athletic build complemented by his blonde hair, blue eyes, and impeccably chiseled features. It's evident why my wife, Alice, found him appealing during her frequent business trips to the corporate office in Greensboro. My private investigator efficiently gathered crucial details. Larry had joined the company 2 years prior, holding a directorial position in the marketing department, similar in rank to Alice's role in sales. Their collaboration on projects and frequent joint travels to visit clients spoke volumes. I refrained from launching an extensive investigation, as Larry and Alice inadvertently provided substantial evidence themselves. After finishing my drink and settling the tab, I traversed the lounge and positioned myself near their table. Observing the group surrounding Larry, 5 men and 2 women, I introduced myself. "Hi, Larry. I'm Logan Patterson, Alice's husband," I began, suggesting a private conversation. Despite his smiling face, Larry seemed puzzled, his eyes betraying a deeper concern. "Logan, hey, nice to meet you. What brings you to Greensboro?" he inquired. "I flew down for a confidential discussion with you, Larry," I replied. "I understand you're here with friends, but could we possibly find a moment to talk?" Gesturing towards an unoccupied booth in the rear as the lounge filled rapidly, I proposed, "Just 15 minutes, if you can spare them." With that, I departed from Larry's table and headed towards a booth. Observing him from afar, I noticed him finishing his beer and promptly ordering another. Moments later, he approached me with a furrowed brow. "I can't understand why you flew all the way to North Carolina just to talk to me. It would have been much simpler to call," he remarked with concern. "I wanted to meet the man who's been having a sexual affair with my wife," I responded succinctly and directly, deflating Larry before he could respond. "It's not what you think," he attempted to protest, but I chuckled in response. "It's exactly what I think," I retorted. "I managed to access the cloud-based server where you and Alice store the videos. Now, I have copies of all 15. Larry appeared even more stunned. "You have copies of them?" he asked incredulously. Instead of answering, I pressed on, asking, "How long has this been going on?" "I'm not sure," he admitted. "About a year ago. 4 of us went on a trip to NITOTD Cleveland. Alice's computer battery died, so I let her use mine. Somehow, she stumbled upon a fetish site that I frequently visit." "Well, Larry, that just goes to show how clueless I was," I remarked dryly. "I thought the affair lasted somewhere between 5 to 7 months." Larry lowered his head. "It didn't become physical for a while. Alice was intrigued, so we talked and emailed about it before." The unspoken weight of the situation lingered in the air, enveloping us in a heavy silence as we both sat, lost in our thoughts. "Logan, she loves you. You know that, right?" Larry's words broke the silence, and I nodded in agreement. "I love her too. That's why the divorce is going to be so difficult," I confessed. Larry's voice rose in disbelief. "Are you serious? You're going to divorce her over this?" I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of my decision. "I deserve better than a dishonest, unfaithful wife," I stated firmly, my frustration evident in my sigh. "I want to call her." I trailed off, uncertain if the label fit, but I'm not sure if her actions qualify her as one. However, they do qualify for a divorce. A heavy silence settled over the table, lingering longer than expected until Larry finally broke it with a question. "Logan, what are your plans for the videos?" "I don't want to harm Alice," I replied wearily, feeling suddenly drained. "Right now, I just want to leave the bar." I explained that I had an early morning flight home the next day and that Alice had left for New York that morning and would return tomorrow afternoon. "We'll have a conversation then." Locking eyes with Larry, I issued a warning. "Don't you dare utter a word to Alice, you despicable person. I'll find out if you do, and those videos will be shared with everyone in your life." With that, I swiftly finished the remaining whiskey in my glass, slammed it onto the table, and made my way towards my hotel. As recent empty nesters, Alice and I had made a commitment to take 2 vacations together annually. Our upcoming fall getaway was scheduled to begin in Vancouver, and we were eager to explore the Pacific coast, making our way south to San Francisco with stops in Seattle and Portland. On a Friday, I secured a rental car for our upcoming trip and arranged first-class flights to Vancouver and from San Francisco. As I finalized hotel reservations, I stumbled upon the initial signs of Alice's affair. Both Alice and I frequently traveled for work, utilizing accumulated airline miles, hotel points, and car rental rewards to offset vacation expenses. A welcome perk of our business travel that helped ease our holiday costs. Although we had always had enough points to cover our travel necessities, I was taken aback when I realized we might need to pay for 3 or 4 nights at the Marriott for our upcoming vacation. It didn't add up. Considering that Alice, like myself, spent approximately 100 nights away for business, there should have been enough points for 10 Marriott hotel nights during our coastal drive. However, upon checking Alice's calendar, which we shared due to our frequent travels, I discovered she had been away for only 64 nights in the previous year. Delving deeper, I logged into her Marriott rewards account and found she had stayed at a Marriott property for only 47 nights. A sense of unease gripped me as I pondered where Alice had spent the other 17 nights, cross-referencing her calendar with the details from her Marriott rewards points. My anxiety intensified when I realized she had not made any hotel reservations during her visit to the corporate office in Greensboro. The knot in my stomach tightened, and for the first time in almost 26 years of marriage, I found myself questioning whether Alice might be having an affair. As someone who typically tackled problems head-on, I wasn't prepared to continue my investigation at that moment. Instead, I briefed my personal assistant on my schedule and departed from my office. "I need to head to the gym for an early workout," I informed her. Changing into workout attire in the company locker room, I jogged 2.5 miles to the nearby gym, spent 55 minutes lifting weights, and then jogged back to the office. After a quick shower and change, I encountered Grace on my way back to my office. "Logan, you have several calls to return, and something personal has come up. I need an hour or so to sort things out." "Is that why you left for the gym so early?" she inquired. I nodded in agreement, and she pressed further, offering assistance, passing Grace and closing the door to my office. I couldn't help but shake my head, sensing her surprise at the depth of my sorrow. As I settled at my desk, the tension resurfaced immediately. Just seconds later, my phone rang, and my frustration peaked. "Grace, I just mentioned that I needed in. How I apologize. Hunter needs to speak with you." Throughout my entire professional journey, Hunter and I have been close friends and colleagues. As the company's president and the founder's son, he has served as my mentor, guiding me as I climbed the corporate ranks to become his trusted associate, holding the position of vice president of sales and marketing. Releasing a heavy sigh, I apologized for my earlier outburst to Grace and requested her to connect the call. Once I picked up, Hunter inquired, "Why aren't you taking calls? What's happening?" I replied, "I need an hour." "Hunter, can we meet at 10:45? I proposed. However, he responded, "That won't work. I'm organizing a brief meeting regarding the long situation, and I need your input." Infuriated and feeling on the verge of exploding, I pleaded with him, "Hunter, just give me until 10:45. I need to address a problem." There was a tense pause on the other end, followed by a cold agreement from Hunter. "I'll meet you at 10:45. With a knot in my stomach, I continued my investigation. Both of our companies utilized the same online expense report software. I meticulously scrutinized all of Alice's available trip expense reports spanning 2 years. The majority of Alice's travels were concentrated east of the Mississippi River. Approximately 1/3 of her business trips were to the Greensboro headquarters, with the rest scattered across various other cities. Alice's expense reports revealed that all her travel expenses, including Marriott rooms, had been charged to her corporate American Express card until 7 months ago. After that, hotel charges were absent for all trips except those to Greensboro. As I revisited the information, I couldn't shake the feeling that this couldn't be happening. It felt as though my world was unraveling. A moment of clarity swiftly followed, providing a straightforward explanation that relieved my doubts about my best friend, my wife. Many companies were implementing cost-cutting measures, including strategies to control expenses for employee accommodations during trips to corporate headquarters. Some companies were opting to pay hotels directly at discounted rates, thereby retaining the points for future employee visits. It dawned on me that this must be what happened to Alice's Marriott points. After pondering for a few minutes, I accessed my computer's contacts file and searched for the individual from Alice's finance group. Among the 37 contact names from Alice's work functions, I eventually located the number for Aidan Powell, the director of finance. I dialed his number and left a voicemail. "Aidan, this is Logan Patterson, Alice's husband. We've crossed paths a couple of times at company events. I'm reaching out to various company finance professionals to gauge whether there's a trend of shifting policies to save costs by directly paying for hotel accommodations. Our finance team is considering this change, but I'm against it, as I believe our people should still benefit from hotel points. I would appreciate a call back." Leaving my office number, I then proceeded to Hunter's office for our scheduled meeting. As the meeting commenced, the tension began to ease, and I focused on the matters at hand. Hunter gave me a puzzled look, but I simply shrugged in response. In just 25 minutes, the sales, marketing, finance, and operations teams reached a consensus on resolving a week-long issue with the Long brothers, one of our long-standing clients. As the meeting concluded, Hunter's tone turned more serious. "Stay back, Logan," he said. Once the room cleared and the door closed, Hunter inquired, "What's happening?" I sighed, and Hunter allowed me a moment to collect my thoughts. "My stress levels are through the roof, but I've just barely avoided a heart attack. I'm dealing with some personal matters, not work-related or personal," I admitted. "Is it about the kids?" he asked, sensing my emotional state. Shaking my head, I took a moment before responding, "It's about Alice. An hour ago, I was convinced she was having an affair. Now I feel foolish because I believe I've identified the issue. I'm waiting for a confirmation call." Hunter had a smirk on his face as he shook his head. "You're being unreasonable. Alice is devoted to you and would never be unfaithful. So stop entertaining foolish thoughts," he advised firmly. With that, he motioned for me to leave. Grace, who had looked concerned earlier, now wore a smile as she noticed me passing by her desk. "It's good to see you back to normal, Logan," Grace remarked as I settled back into my routine. After quickly checking for urgent emails, I pressed the playback button to listen to my voicemail. Aidan Powell had returned my call. "Hi, Logan. Glad to hear from you. We haven't seriously considered paying directly and keeping the rewards points yet. I researched it, and although it would save us around $7,000 annually, I've heard it could cost us up to 13 times that amount in lost employee morale. I agree with you. It's not a good idea. I hope this information helps," Aidan concluded before signing off. As his message ended, my desktop picture of Alice flew across the room, shattering against the wall. I quickly packed my computer into my briefcase. Grace looked back and forth between the broken picture on the floor and me from my office doorway. "Grace, I'm taking the rest of the day off. Only contact me if there's an emergency. If Alice calls, tell her I'm in a meeting and cannot be disturbed," I instructed before walking out, without waiting for a response. It had been a challenging day at work. A story from Alice. My Friday morning began when Logan left for the office at 7:40. Feeling justified, I closed my home office down at 3:50 that afternoon and decided to hit the gym an hour earlier than usual. Feeling a bit mischievous and in the mood for a change, I opted for the Stairmaster stepper for my cardio workout. Aware that a group of young men was visually appreciating my 49-year-old figure clad in a leotard as I ascended the moving stairs. It provided me with a significant thrill. Contemplating the possibilities with these three college jocks, my mind started to wander into a daydream. There was no doubt that my intimate life was extraordinary. We still engaged in physical intimacy 3 or 4 times a week, with me reaching climax 2 or sometimes 3 times each encounter. Oral actions played a crucial role in our intimate moments. After Larry explored my body, we often moved into a 69 position. I would slowly take in his impressive organ while he skillfully explored my sensitive lips with his tongue. I appreciated how he stimulated all of my erogenous zones with his fingers, creating pleasurable sensations. Typically, after our 69 session, Larry would position me on my knees, lower himself onto my thighs, and initiate penetration from behind. His considerable length, especially in girth, combined with my own stimulation of the sensitive area, inevitably led me to a state of ecstasy. He always started slowly, ensuring my comfort as he entered from behind. But once fully inside me, he would thrust passionately, satisfying my preferences. As he released his climax deep within me, I often stimulated myself from the front, resulting in explosive sensations. Additionally, my thoughts drifted towards my upcoming trip to Greensboro. Most of my preparations had been completed, and I anticipated a hectic schedule. Meetings were scheduled to commence just 2 hours after my arrival, and I would be working tirelessly until departing for home at noon on Friday. The only relief would be my evenings spent with Larry. The majority of my workday would be occupied by meetings, including those with him, while my nights would be dedicated to his company in bed. I was aware that these upcoming nights would be delightfully indulgent. I was relieved to reach a point where I no longer felt guilty about my nearly year-long affair with Larry. The activities I engaged in with Larry were undeniably explicit, and I couldn't involve my loving husband in the kind of depravity I experienced with him. It became my private indulgence, fulfilling a twisted sexual desire I hadn't known existed despite leading a fulfilling life as a proud wife, mother, friend, and respected professional. Being with Larry allowed me to explore a newfound primal need that was completely hidden from my normal life. The revelation of this perverse desire occurred unexpectedly during a business trip to Cleveland. Larry had booked a suite for us to collaborate on our work after business hours, preparing for upcoming meetings. After completing our preparations, Larry invited me to dinner, but I realized I needed an extra 20 minutes to finish some tasks for other clients. Since my laptop was running low on battery, Larry lent me his. I quickly completed the work, and not feeling particularly hungry, decided to check the delivery status of items being shipped to our home on Google. As I typed fee into the search box, expecting Axe.com to appear, I was surprised to find a series of links leading to fandom websites. Inexperienced and uncertain about the meaning of fandom, I clicked on the first link. The videos were explicit, featuring women dominating and humiliating men. I was shocked to discover that Larry watched that kind of video. At first, I felt embarrassed, but as I watched several clips, I found myself becoming aroused. I joined our group for a drink, but later excused myself, saying, "Excuse me, I'll be having room service deliver my dinner." Barely touching my food, I pulled up a series of fandom websites on my personal iPad. Soon enough, my blouse was open, and I was undressed from the waist down. Stimulating myself while watching a mature woman instructing a young star to perform explicit acts, I found myself perplexed about why I found it so arousing. Logan was skilled at oral caress and willing to explore my boundaries, and the sensations were always pleasurable. I doubted whether my typically masculine husband would tolerate the explicit language used by the woman in the video. Snapping out of my daydream, I realized it was time to stop using the Stairmaster. Thoughts of the emails I had exchanged with Larry, the 3 boys staring at my bouncing buttocks, and the anticipated intimacy with Larry later that night filled my mind. I felt a strong desire, needing to hurry home to take care of myself and shower before dinner. Story by Logan. As I stepped into the house on Friday night, it was nearly 7:50, and Alice was clearly upset. "Where on earth have you been?" she demanded. I responded apologetically to my displeased wife, "Sorry, I got caught up in a work issue and lost track of time." She shot back, "I sent you 6 texts and left 3 voicemails. Why couldn't you have at least responded? I expressed remorse. I forgot to turn my phone back on. I just wanted to leave the office and come home. Alice began to calm down a bit, saying, I've already eaten, but your dinner is probably overcooked. It won't be very appetizing. I nonchalantly shrugged, no worries. I'll grab some Chinese on my way back in a few minutes. As I left, Alice seemed like she wanted to say something, but I couldn't catch her words before the door closed. Upon my return, I had a meal in my home office and tackled some tasks that had accumulated in the afternoon. However, my primary focus was waiting for Alice to retire for the night at 8:40. She appeared in the doorway of the office. Are you planning to join me in bed soon? She inquired. I replied, no, I need to resolve this issue first. Not sure how long it will take, although I sensed Alice had more to express. She simply bid me good night. After giving it an hour to ensure Alice was asleep, I entered her office and retrieved her laptop before transferring it to my office. I inspected the notebook in the top center drawer of Alice's desk. It contained her workplace-mandated monthly password changes for accessing their VPN email system and various other business software applications. To avoid forgetting, Alice logged each new password in the notebook and couldn't reuse the same one for a year. It took me no more than 25 minutes to locate what I was searching for. The emails were stored in a folder labeled Larry Jenkins. The emails of greatest interest were intermingled with business-related correspondence. As I delved into several months of private emails, I was shocked by the depths of Larry's and Alice's moral decay and perversion. Their explicit descriptions covered over 17 nights of debauchery in their charged emails, and each new revelation felt like another knife twisting in my gut. 2 months ago, Larry sent an email containing a URL that he had created. The email informed Alice that all their videos were stored on a secure, undisclosed website and were protected by a password, which Larry provided. Upon accessing the site, I anticipated a certain outcome due to the consistently disturbing details in their previous emails. To my surprise, my expectations were incorrect. Witnessing my wife as the co-star in each video was a nightmarish experience, yet it provided undeniable evidence of her reprehensible behavior. When I glanced at the clock and noted it was 20 minutes before midnight, I marveled at the chaotic turn of events. Story by Alice. My life had taken a turn in the 16 hours since I attempted to make hotel reservations for our upcoming trip. What a dismal weekend. On Saturday, while I began my day tackling errands around town, Logan stuck to his usual weekly yard work routine, although we could easily have hired a lawn service. Logan took pride in personally maintaining our yard. Our usual late lunch was delayed as Logan kept finding new projects to occupy his time in the yard. I was taken aback when the delivery service arrived with some supplies later in the day. And right after their departure, Butler's nursery arrived with 3 new apple trees. Logan, what's going on here? We've discussed adding more apple trees to the backyard. When do you plan to complete all of this? I questioned. I'm digging the holes for the trees today and planting them first thing in the morning. Tomorrow afternoon, I'll construct the trellises for the hops and plant them while you're away next week, Logan explained. Feeling frustrated, I asked, are you going to spend any quality time with your wife this weekend? I'll be away most of next week. You haven't suggested any plans, so I thought you wanted to save your energy for your trip. I was taken aback by Logan's response, and for a moment, a twinge of guilt washed over me. However, reassured that my secret about Greensboro was secure, I replied, I'm arranging dinner reservations. Please be prepared to leave at 6:40, an hour before our planned departure. I grew concerned when Logan entered the house, complaining of a backache. Logan, is there anything I can do? I asked. No, just cancel the reservations. Let's have pizza instead, he replied, eager to please my husband. I followed his request. I ordered a pizza and picked it up along with an India Pale Ale from a local brewery, one of his favorite beers. Upon my return with the pizza and beer, I couldn't believe what I discovered. Logan was already in bed, fast asleep. Sunday turned out to be just as challenging. I had anticipated enjoying some of Logan's renowned morning delight, but he had risen early, an hour before I woke up, and was already engrossed in his outdoor projects. As I emerged from bed, I spent the entire day grumbling, but he persisted in his work, which was incredibly frustrating. Logan continued his efforts in the backyard until nearly 7:50 in the evening, then hastily put together a tuna salad sandwich before falling asleep. Monday morning brought frustration once again. As soon as our alarm went off, I turned to find Logan, only to discover that the bed was empty. I hastily got out of bed, threw on my robe, and went on a search for Logan, but he was nowhere to be found. My confusion grew when he finally replied to my text almost 15 minutes later saying, "I'm at work." Concerned that Logan might be upset with me, I racked my brain looking for any transgressions on my part. I pondered the unusual lack of intimacy over the weekend. It was unprecedented for us not to make love at least twice in a weekend. In an attempt to reignite the passion, I launched an operation to revitalize our love life by sending Alice a text message with leading questions. "Can't wait for some intimate moments tonight." An hour passed with no response, prompting me to send another text. "Alice, afterward, you can choose between my or my tight little." By mid-afternoon, my frustration escalated as I couldn't comprehend why he remained unresponsive. We had often enjoyed some of our best moments after engaging in dirty texting during the workday. I made one last attempt. "Alice, how about dining on me for dinner?" His unexpected reply caught me off guard. "Sorry, I'll be working late tonight." I attempted to reach him 3 times within the next 30 minutes, but his voicemail greeted me each time. As a last resort, I sent another text to Logan. "Alice, I'm embarking on a 3-day trip. Tomorrow morning, I anticipate your return by 6:30. At the latest, my emotions were in disarray. I knew I'd still be upset about the treatment I'd endured in the past few days, making it unlikely for us to engage intimately. Once Logan returned to vent my frustrations, I decided to direct them towards Larry by sending him detailed instructions via email. I was confident that my words would excite him, making our upcoming week together the most enjoyable yet. As the clock passed 6:50 without any communication from Logan, no calls, texts, or responses to my inquiries, I thought, forget him. I completed my packing for the week and loaded my briefcase and suitcase into the car, fuming with anger. I turned on the TV, and with each passing sitcom, my irritation intensified. Eventually, I decided to retire for the night. Logan would receive a chilly and emotionless response from me. The following morning, I was relieved to find Alice asleep when I got home. I wasn't concerned about facing her anger. In fact, I was anticipating not only confronting it, but also completely overcoming and dismantling it in the days ahead. It had been an exceptionally long day at the office. I had arrived early and stayed late, determined not to fall behind in my work. After a 2-hour meeting with my newly hired divorce attorney, Vanessa, she provided me with a comprehensive list of tasks to complete while Alice was away. Although we had discussed the possibility of hiring a private detective, we ultimately decided that the explicit videos I had copied would serve as sufficient ammunition. Quietly slipping into bed, I couldn't shake the feeling that it might be the last time with my estranged wife, whom I referred to as A, and quickly drifted off to sleep. As a light sleeper, I woke up 15 minutes ahead of our scheduled alarm on Tuesday morning. Hastily going through my morning routine, I showered, got dressed, and headed to work, despite feeling emotional during the drive. Alice's first text brought a smile to my face, evident by the steam emanating from my phone. "Alice, I'm unsure why you're treating me this way, but it's unbearable. You didn't join me for dinner as I requested, neglected to wake me when you came to bed, and left without a farewell kiss. Considering I'll be away for 3 days, we must have a thorough conversation when I return on Friday evening." An hour later. "Alice, at the very least, I anticipated an apology and a wish for a good week. What's going on with you, Logan?" In the midst of work-related meetings, customer calls, and emails, I found myself managing the preliminary tasks associated with our impending divorce. I compiled a list of our shared accounts to settle uncancelled credit cards and other debts on Thursday. Whatever remained would be divided between us since the house was in my name. Before meeting Alice, I retained ownership. Besides a modest second mortgage, the house was solely mine. I enlisted the services of movers to assist me in clearing Alice's personal belongings. The plan was to deliver everything to her parents' garage. On Thursday, the house locks were changed, and adjustments were made to my insurance policies, designating my children as beneficiaries. Additionally, my will and other legal documents were being updated to exclude Alice. On a pleasant Tuesday evening, I dedicated my time to planting hops in my backyard garden. It would take approximately 2 years for the plants to mature and start bearing fruit. After a late dinner, I retired to bed and fell asleep by 9:20. Upon waking up early on Wednesday morning, I powered on my phone and discovered a string of messages from Alice sent the night before. This marked the first occasion since we met when you didn't call while I was traveling. Please reach out to me. This can't continue. We need to have a conversation. An additional message arrived an hour later. Alice, I'm pleading with you. Please give me a call. And lastly, Alice, don't shut me out. Please explain what's happening. I love you. As I read the messages, I pondered to myself, if she wants to know, I suppose it's time to share with her. The issue lies with Larry Jenkins. While contemplating this revelation, I experienced a moment of anxiety. However, that feeling quickly subsided as I realized Logan couldn't possibly be aware of the true extent of my affair. Due to Logan's peculiar behavior over the weekend, I opted for caution and booked a room at the Marriott in Greensboro despite being eager for the emotional relief that only Larry could provide. I understood it wasn't worth risking my marriage. I decided to postpone any further escapades until my upcoming trip to our headquarters next month. I called Logan's cell and was pleasantly surprised when he answered. Good morning, Logan. I'm confused. How does Larry relate to the way you've been treating me poorly? Logan's response sounded fatigued and possibly irritated. If you can't grasp that your connection with Larry is entirely inappropriate, I don't know how to explain it to you. Inappropriate, Logan. Larry is a colleague. We communicate with each other multiple times most days. I'm aware of that. Logan chose not to continue, prompting me to step in. If you're referring to our dinners together, it's going to upset me. I understand that you have business dinners with women frequently, but it has never bothered me before. I've never been worried about your dinners with Larry or anyone else. Then why did you mention Larry as the cause of your behavior? My behavior changed when I learned about your involvement with Larry. My involvement? Are you out of your mind? I've never had any involvement with Larry or anyone else. Are you saying you've never been intimate with Larry? For heaven's sake. That's exactly what I'm saying. I've never been unfaithful to you, honey. I heard Logan sob, intensifying the ache in my heart. I pleaded, promise me, Alice. Promise me you've never had any involvement with Larry. Of course, I promise. I swear I've never had any intimate relationship with Larry Jenkins or anyone else. The firm line fell silent. Logan, are we okay? It took a moment for him to respond. Alice, we're okay. I have to go because of an early meeting. Let's talk tonight and put this past week behind us. I love you, Logan. Logan signed off with his usual, I love you too. As I hung up the phone, I was sweating and my heart was pounding. I couldn't fathom why Logan would suspect me of having an affair. My only assumption was that someone from work might have perceived Larry and me as too close or having too many dinners together, possibly informing Logan. Recognizing that I narrowly avoided a crisis, I pledged to limit my after-work time with Larry. I decided never to spend the night at his place again and to restrict myself to one dinner with him. After every call with Alice, during which she fed me lies, I wasted no time. Within moments, I accessed the cloud-based platform storing their videos. In just 7 minutes post-call, I selected my top 3 favorite clips of their activities. These clips found their way onto Alice's Facebook page, accompanied by a change in her password. The initial video showcased Alice in a leather bodysuit, strategically cut to reveal her breasts, genitalia, and buttocks. Meanwhile, Larry, in a state of nudity, knelt on the hardwood floor with his hands restrained behind his back. Alice verbally berated him using derogatory language while administering a beating with a crop. Welts began to appear on Larry's buttocks as the clip concluded. The second video depicted the unclothed pair engaging in unconventional doggy style. Alice wore a strap-on organ, while Larry assumed a hands and knees position, enduring her penetrating remarks. Do you like it when my solid, weighty instrument penetrates you? My favorite clip, the third one, was recorded on his backyard patio. Larry lay unclothed on his back, while Alice stood over him, straddling his prone body. Shockingly, my wife let out a stream of urine that repeatedly splashed onto his face as she instructed him. "Drink my yellow liquid, you worthless person." I couldn't help but wonder how many of Alice's 195 Facebook friends would witness her behavior. Exiting my hotel room, I bumped into my coworker Mary in the lobby. Realizing that my conversation with Logan had caused me to fall behind schedule, I was taken aback when Mary, typically known for being prim and proper, asked me, "What the heck is happening?" Perplexed, I replied, "What do you mean?" She exclaimed, "Your Facebook page. Those dreadful, repulsive videos with you and Larry." Confused, I questioned Mary further, but she insisted, "Come with me, Alice, right now." She practically dragged me to a secluded corner of the lobby, pulled out her laptop, and showed me my Facebook page. As I watched, I realized she was right. Mary selected a video I didn't recognize, and in the next few seconds, my world fell apart. In under 15 minutes from sharing the 3 video clips on my Facebook page, my son Tom was the first to call. Answering his call, I said, "Hey, bud." Thomas cautiously responded, "Dad, something strange is happening on Mom's Facebook account." I interjected, "I know, Thomas. I have Mom's passwords, and I posted the videos." "Oh crap, Dad?" "That's harsh," he replied. "I expect Mom will delete the posts quickly. It's going to be challenging," I admitted. "What do you mean, Dad?" Thomas asked, concern evident in his voice. "After posting the videos, I changed Mom's password. She can't access her page," I explained. "You're going to divorce her, aren't you, Dad?" Thomas inquired. I gave her a last chance to tell me the truth a short time ago, but she lied. "So yes, I'll be filing for a divorce," I confirmed. "Can I ask you for a couple of favors?" I continued. "Sure, Dad," I guess Thomas replied. "Call your sister. Suggest that she doesn't watch the videos, but let her know what's happening, and give Mom a call. She'll need some support," I requested. "I'll do that, Dad," Thomas assured me. A few moments later, I had an unexpected visitor at work. No, Alice's dad appeared in the reception area, and I led him back to my office. "This is a hell of a mess, Logan," he remarked. I chuckled, saying, "Those were almost the exact words Thomas used." Noah seemed almost stunned as he continued, "Oh my goodness. Thomas watched those videos. It's bad enough that her mother and I saw them, but her kids," Noah expressed, a brief silence following his words. "I'm not very savvy with Facebook, but Alice told her mom that she can't access her accounts, so she can't remove the videos. Apparently, her password got changed," he added, looking at me with pleading eyes. "Logan, it would mean a lot if you could take those videos down from Facebook," Noah requested. I had always liked Noah, considering both my in-laws as friends. So I went to Alice's page and deleted the 3 files from Facebook. Within a few moments after finishing, I looked up at Noah. "Could Alice stay with you when she comes back? I know we'll have to talk, but I'm still processing and need some time," I asked. Noah nodded in agreement before I had finished. Of course, it might be for the best, actually. After a pause, he asked, "Do you have any longer-term plans?" "Yes, Noah, I do. And I think you know me well enough to understand what needs to be done," I replied. Tears welled up in Noah's eyes as he confessed, "Yeah, I divorced her too. What a mess." Our meeting took place on a Saturday afternoon, 3 weeks after Alice's return. During our one phone conversation, she pleaded with me, "Please, Logan, let's meet and talk." "We will, but I need some time alone," I insisted. Despite my request for space, Alice continued to urge me to talk through numerous phone calls, emails, and texts. She even involved our kids, families, and friends. In the middle of the second week, I finally reached out to her via text. "Meet me on the backyard patio at noon on Saturday for a conversation." In response, Alice flooded me with messages, expressing gratitude for the meeting and affirming her love for me, expressing a desire to mend our relationship. I skimmed through each message, but refrained from replying before Alice arrived on Saturday. I visited Bernie's Deli and picked up a Cobb salad for her and a turkey club for myself. Although I considered getting a 6-pack for me and a bottle of wine for Alice, I decided against it, thinking alcohol wouldn't contribute positively to our discussion. Lime seltzer seemed like a suitable alternative. I arranged the lunch on our backyard patio table and waited for Alice at noon. I heard the doorbell ring, but I stayed seated after the third ring. I spotted Alice approaching from around the corner of the garage. As she walked towards me, she spoke her first words, standing with her hands on her hips. "The least you could do is welcome me at the front door." To which I retorted, "The least you could do is not be a liar." Was cheating the right word? Maybe my reaction seemed harsh, but I felt it was necessary. Let's make a choice. Keep arguing or have a real conversation. I gestured towards the salad I set out for Alice. As she sat down, an awkward silence settled in. "Logan, I've been struggling to find the right words to fix things, but I'm lost. I need your help." Oddly enough, Alice, I've been wrestling with the same dilemma. I've realized there's nothing you can say. But Logan, think about our family. It'll be torn apart. Don't put this all on me, Alice. You should have thought about that before you started doing questionable things. I didn't ask for this, and I don't deserve it. I'm just trying to clean up the mess you created. I know it's a cliché, but it was never about love. I'm deeply ashamed of what happened. Alice and I finalized our divorce after 7 months. Although we maintain a friendly relationship at gatherings for the kids, I suspect Alice may still have lingering feelings. However, reconciliation is not something I'm considering. Whenever I feel a connection with Alice, the vivid memory of her compromising video with Larry quickly extinguishes any romantic feelings. Moving on from that incident is a challenge for me. Feel free to share your thoughts on this story in the comments.